Today is Easter Day. Our Gospel is Matthew chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. Matthew tells us of the two women, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, making their way to the tomb. In this Gospel, Matthew makes three very hard, practical claims. Number one, Jesus died. He was killed. He was dead. Number two, he was buried in a tomb, and the stone was put in front of it. Number three, the tomb is now empty. What are we to make of it? There are several stories in the Christian scriptures similar to that of the two women discovering these truths. There are also stories about sightings. St. Paul, for example, writing to the Christians in Corinth about 15 years after the crucifixion, says, "He appeared to Cephas, then the 12. Then he appeared to more than 500 brethren at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles, and last of all, he appeared to me." None of the accounts, none of the stories of the resurrection of Jesus speak of a corpse being resuscitated, returned to the same life that it had before. Nor do they say that Jesus simply lives on in the memory of the community. In other words, the resurrection is an event of memory by the faithful disciple, disappointed now that he's gone. Neither of those is indicated, suggested, let alone claimed in this story of the resurrection. Two things are essentially claimed. Number one, something has happened to him. Jesus has been transformed. He's passed over to a new life. And the second thing is, that is a bodily life. And he is amongst us in his bodily presence. But it's a different kind of bodiliness. Suddenly Jesus met them, says Matthew, and said, "Greetings." And they came to him and they took hold of his feet. Now, this sort of encounter is spoken of more than once in the Christian scriptures. It may be reasonable to reject the claims. It's not reasonable to reject that the claims are being made. And it is reasonable to take note of the fact that in making those claims, the disciples actually put their lives at risk. In those times, by preaching this message, he is raised, they stood a very good chance of being arrested, as indeed some of them were, tortured, as indeed some of them were, and eventually executed, as indeed some of them were. Furthermore, the message is very simple, very consistent, and very coherent. He has been raised. He has passed over. He is amongst us as one who has been raised from the dead. We don't understand it. We can't explain it, but it's true. It's not the kind of stuff that allows you to reason towards it, to come up with a syllogism that concludes by saying, "Yep, therefore Jesus rose from the dead." It doesn't work like that. But applying reason, as I've just done now, it shows that at the very least, it's not unreasonable to believe in the resurrection. In the end, faith in the resurrection is a pure gift. None of us can claim it. None of us merit it. It is given to us. If we let it get inside us, make its home in us, it will transform us. It will also put us in an awkward position in this secular world, a position that is not infrequently uncomfortable, because believing in the resurrected Lord, the one who suffered and died and was raised, is mocked again and again. I conclude with an example of this proclamation of the message and the derision it evokes. In 2013, on November the 4th, ABC TV's Q&A program was held in the Festival Ideas at the Opera House in Sydney. Packed house. At that event, amongst other things, Peter Hitchens said the following: when asked what is the most dangerous idea, and he said the most dangerous idea in history and in philosophy remains the belief that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, that he rose from the dead, and that is the most dangerous idea you will ever encounter. There was audible derision in the crowd at the Opera House. Tony Jones was prompted to ask, why dangerous? What's dangerous about the idea? Now, I'd have thought that's already evident. If it's true, it's profoundly dangerous to the secular, materialistic, individualistic world that we've created for ourselves. Hitchens responded to Tony Jones, because it alters the whole of human behavior and all our responsibilities. It turns the universe from a meaningless chaos into a designed place in which there is justice and there is hope. And therefore we all have a duty to discover the nature of that justice and work towards that hope. It alters us all. And if we reject it, it alters us all. It is incredibly dangerous. It's why so many people turn against